Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about tradwife content on TikTok. Now, I used to monitor tradwife content back in the day, and I'm talking about 2018-ish, if I recall correctly. Back then, tradwife lifestyle was more niche than it is now. So you wouldn't have TikToks with 200,000 likes on them, if not more. Well, was TikTok a thing in 2018? It wouldn't have been at the forefront like it feels that it is now. I'm going to be using content creators as examples, but I am not directly critiquing those content creators necessarily. They're just there to display what I'm talking about. There is this one content creator, and I'm going to show you TikToks to contextualize in case you have no idea who I'm talking about. Her name is Nara. She married Lucky Blue Smith. If you guys are Tumblrinas like I was and am, you'll remember Lucky Blue Smith off of Tumblr. He wanted to be a model, became a model, ended up modeling for brands like Tom Ford. Nara is also a model, though I don't know her career trajectory. I always feel a little bit weird about looking into people who aren't exactly celebrities. She makes content on TikTok that is very tradwifey in genre, so it's a lot of her cooking things from scratch and selling this very old school lifestyle. So it's not just traditional in its ideology, it's traditional in its aesthetic or in its mimicry, depending on where you stand on the whole thing. So I'll show you an example of what I'm talking about. The video I'm gonna show you has also become a meme because she has this thing of like her kids will ask her for something simple to eat, like grilled cheese, like you'll see in a second, and she will create it from scratch, okay?
When I asked my toddlers what they wanted for lunch, they both wanted a grilled cheese. So that's exactly what I got started on. I got started by making my bread. This is a really simple no-knead recipe. You put all of your dry and wet ingredients into a bowl, give it a mix, and let it rise for 2 hours, which gives me enough time to start making my cheese. I combine some milk, citric acid, and rennet in my pot. Let that heat up, and then once it's solidified, I'd return it back to the heat and stir it gently before letting all the curds drain and then stretching it out. Stretch it until it's shiny and smooth and then put it back into that cooled whey. The kids love pesto, so I made a fresh basil pesto by putting some basil, pine nuts, some garlic, a splash of lemon juice into my food processor and blitzing it while slowly adding some olive oil, and then I finished it off with some Parmesan cheese. I set that aside and got my bread out. I scooped it onto my floured surface and gently formed it into a ball. It does not have to be perfect whatsoever, and then transferred it over to my parchment before letting it bake in my Dutch oven for about 30 minutes. You need butter on your grilled cheese, so I made a garlic and herb butter by whipping some heavy cream until it's separated, pressing out all the buttermilk, and then combining it with my garlic, herbs, and some flaky sea salt. I wrapped it up in some wax paper and let that chill in the fridge while I pulled out my bread and let that cool for a little bit. We like thick slices of bread in this house, so I cut 2 thick slices of bread, sliced up my mozzarella, and then spread some of that butter on my bread, pesto on top, layered on the mozzarella, added some more pesto on the other side, and also butter on the outside of the bread so it could get really crispy in the pan. I pull it out once it's crisp and the cheese has melted, and the kids absolutely devoured this.
So the meme is kind of a play on the fact that obviously children, especially young children, are impatient. Nara is 22 now, I think. Put her age here if I'm wrong. But regardless, she is a young mother and they have young children. So the meme, the joke is that when kids say they want a grilled cheese, even if maybe they're not completely aware, typically they're not willing to wait like 3 hours for a grilled cheese, right? That's kind of the appeal of a grilled cheese. It's a fast thing. And then the meme is that Nara is like making fucking eggs from scratch. It's pretty lighthearted. It's not that deep. And it is also realistically true. It must take forever. That being said, I have no critique about someone choosing to make things from scratch. I think that's great. I think children can learn things that way. I'm not going to comment on cooking. We're not going to talk about me and cooking. The thing about Nara and the trad wife lifestyle that I want to talk about is that there are things that align and don't align at the same time. And granted, no one fits into a box very cleanly. Like, there are people who consider themselves goths, but then have things that aren't goth about them. It's normal. Life is not a perfect checked box that you're just like, yes, I am exactly the definition of thing X or Y. So as far as I'm concerned, that's fine. So like, there will be TikToks of her going on a shopping spree that Lucky paid for, and she goes to all these fancy stores, which doesn't necessarily fit the aesthetic of the trad wife, though ideologically the trad wife is the wife who stays at home and takes care of the kids, and the husband takes care of the money, basically. So it does align with that, but I think a lot of people continuously associate it with just an old school vibe. Let me put it that way. In fact, there is another content creator, I can't remember their name, but I'll put their TikTok in here in a second, who is making satirical content kind of adjacent or even parallel actually to Nara's content, kind of making fun of the trad wife trend.
I was out of town for a few days and I got home late last night, and when I saw my boys this morning, the first thing they asked for were strawberry scones with a lemon drizzle. So of course I got started making them right away. Mixed together all my dry ingredients, cut in my butter before going out to harvest my strawberries. These were perfectly ripe. I can't believe I actually grew these here. So I grabbed those and then got some milk and eggs for my chickens. Then I diced up my strawberries, added those to my bowl, added a bit of lemon zest. Did you guys know I'm proficient at juggling? Added my chicken milk and eggs. Thoroughly combined everything, then formed it into a little disc on some parchment paper before cutting it into 8 little triangles. Added a bit of egg wash for some shine, then got started on my glaze, which was just powdered sugar, lemon juice, and some homemade vanilla extract. I personally love a dollop of whipped cream on a scone. Whipped cream on anything is good, so I whipped up some of that by hand, plated the goods, added a bit of embellishment, and then had a little taste test, and these were delicious.
Initially, I did not pick up on the satire, and I do think there's something interesting to be said about even the getup of the housewife, like the trad wife, housewife. To me, they all kind of are one big idea. But anyway, it's interesting also that their clothing is a certain type of way. But the thing with the trad wife ideology or the trad wife aesthetic is that often it comes with concepts that are far more complicated than, yes, you're a stay-at-home mom who takes care of the kids and your husband takes care of the money, right? The old school kind of shit we see in sitcoms. But more the question of, with Nara and Lucky Blue Smith, I went snooping through the comments because I was like, what is the issue here? A big part of the issue is something that I actually hadn't considered, is that, as far as I understand, and I could be wrong, but I haven't seen much scholarship or research about this online, is that Lucky is Mormon. Now, as far as I've understood, and Nara has a video about herself and about how she grew up, which I'm going to insert in a second, which addresses part of this. But he's Mormon, and a lot of people have taken issue with her being with him because Mormonism apparently, and I am no religious authority, so if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but this is what the comments are saying. Apparently Mormonism has some pretty fucked up stances about black people or non-white people generally. So people were questioning her about her religion, which is I think why she brings it up in this clip. But here's a clip so you get more info.
Let's do our makeup together while I tell you a few facts about me because there's so many new people on here. So hi everyone. My full name is Nara Smith. I was born on September 27th, 2001. So I'm 22 years old and I'm a Libra. I was born in Bloemfontein, South Africa. My mom's South African, my dad's German, and we moved to Germany when I was about 3 months old because I guess they wanted me to grow up in Germany. I've lived in Frankfurt, Germany my entire life. We never moved, and I speak 2 languages, English and German. Deutsch und Englisch sind beide meine Muttersprachen. And then as soon as I turned 18, I moved to California, even though I'd never been before. I'm the oldest of 3 siblings. I have a younger sister who's 18, and then I have a younger brother who's 20. I also have a half brother on my mom's side who lives in South Africa. When I was 14, I got scouted by a modeling agency, and I've been doing modeling ever since then. That's also how I met my husband. After 6 months of dating, we got married and then had 2 kids and we're pregnant with our third. We have a daughter, her name is Rumble, and we have a son, his name is Slim. My husband also has a daughter from his previous relationship. I've always wanted to be a young mom because growing up, my dad would always tell us that he regrets having kids later in life. So I took that advice and it's one of the best decisions I could have made, and I know it's not for everyone. I was always very mature and independent and did a lot of things at a very young age. So I never feel like I'm missing out on any of the partying, any of that, because I've done all of that. I grew up playing a lot of instruments, from the saxophone to the flute to the piano, but I ended up playing the piano for about 8 years, I think. I also worked at a smoothie shop while I was in high school. I was just so slow that no one really wanted to work with me, so I got overwhelmed and quit. I'm a very routine, organized person, so I do not do well if I'm not on a routine. When I finished high school, my plan was to study marine biology, but my plan shifted and now I'm cooking a lot more and being on social media. I know that my religion is a very hot topic on the internet. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm still learning and figuring out my own faith. I'm not in any way a hardcore Mormon or anything like that. I don't wear garments. I didn't get married in the temple. Both me and my husband are on our own journeys and figuring out how we want to raise our kids. I've always loved cooking, but I just recently, in the past year, have gotten really passionate about it. It all started when I was dealing with really severe eczema and I had to make sure that what I put in my body would be good for my body, and that's kind of how I got into nutrition and food and cooking. Also, my regular lip combo is MAC lip liner and cork, and then I either do the Benetint or the Beneflora in the middle, and then sometimes I do a gloss on top, or I do the brown Summer Fridays Dream Lip Oil. I line my lips and then I go in with this. I've also never gotten anything done to my face. A lot of people think I've gotten lip filler, which I have not. And there we go.
Nara actually discusses not knowing where she stands with religion and not being sure, so she's like in the exploring phase. And that is, like I said, one of the things people took issue with is why would she be Mormon when there are a lot of beliefs that people deem inconsistent with being a non-white person and being Mormon, along with other Mormon ideologies and practices that the general public of TikTok seemed to not particularly approve of or not think aligned with her lifestyle. And I think this is one of the points that I find most interesting about the tradwife lifestyle is that, like I said, we can account for the old school stereotype of husband goes to work, mom stays at home with the kids, cooks, cleans, whatever. That's fine if you want to have that lifestyle. The thing is, if you put this lifestyle online, almost automatically there's going to be a level of incongruence. Why? Because you are a traditional wife who's staying at home, but you go on shopping sprees at all of these high-end stores. You have technology. You're posting this on TikTok. How do we make traditional wife stereotypes fit with technology when these traditional wife stereotypes were built when technology was like a shitty TV? You know, so I think it's like either we need to redefine tradwife for what it means now that we have iPhones, now that gender stereotypes still exist, gender roles are changing and shifting depending on where you live. So I think that's part of what makes this difficult to understand is like, how do you ascribe to one thing but live another? And how does that also not make you hypocritical? How do we make those two things work together? Does that make sense? Anyway, you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.